and I'm super excited to bring on Sarah Lafleur, the founder and CEO of Lafleur. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Blessing. Oh my gosh, what a treat to be able to listen to that. I grew up playing classical piano, and I was just thinking, I mean, Jade's extraordinary. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
When I first saw her perform, I was like,
what a treat. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Oh, so special.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I first saw Jade perform, I was blown away. And I wish, we had all the time, right, to kind of let her do a thing and really get to it. But
oh my gosh, yes. Jade, if you're still listening, if you ever do a concert, please let me know. I want to come and listen. So that was so wonderful. And Blessing, thank you for having me today. And thank you to Mother Honestly and all the moms out there. Friday at 9:30. Typically this is when we would be like, it's the weekend, but exactly. I know there's very little distinction right now between our weekdays and our weekends.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was told when I said 9:30 a.m. And they were like, well, we'll try to make it work for her. So really, really appreciate you, taking the time to join us this morning.
My pleasure.
First of all, before we go into, I have wonderful questions for you because you are a founder, you are an entrepreneur, you hire women, moms, and men, and your co-founder is a parent as well.
Yeah.
But I ask you something: how are you holding up?
Oh, thank you. Well, I don't know if I've told you yet, but I'm pregnant, and I'm actually also expecting 2 other babies. It's a long story, but I struggled with infertility for a long time, and basically our doctors told us to just that it was never going to happen for us. So to go down the path of surrogacy, and very, very. It's just kind of crazy. So after a 3-year journey, I'm miraculously pregnant, and so is our amazing surrogate with twins. And so we're expecting 3 babies this late summer, fall. So I would say it's definitely an interesting time to be pregnant. I just my husband can't come to any of our appointments. I think there was a period where we weren't even sure if he was going to be able to be in the delivery room. We live in New York City, which has obviously been super hard hit. And amazingly, I think now some of the restrictions are being lifted, and so I think you're allowed to have 1 person now in the hospital room with you. But anyway, it's definitely an interesting time to be experiencing pregnancy. But I'm thrilled. I think after a lot all that we've been through, it's been a real blessing.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
I knew you were expecting. I wanted you to be the one to bring that up.
Oh, yeah.
Topic, especially in this uncharted times.
Yeah.
But I did not know that you were expecting 3 kids all at once. That's like a crash course. Okay?
I'm gonna need Mother Honestly more than anything right now. Because, up until now I've been, really just running my company, and of course we've had a lot of, our company's 80% women. Absolutely. And a pretty young workforce. So we constantly have team members going out on parental leave, both moms and dads. That was something that was really important to us to have equal parental leave between men and women. And so, regardless of whether you're the one giving birth or adopting or whatever your kind of relationship is to the child, you get 12 weeks at my company fully paid. But I think that was, it's still a pretty rare practice to give equal parental leave to both the primary caregiver and the second, they call it the secondary caregiver now, I think. And so I know that's for example, one of the things my husband is negotiating as well. It's not common for dads to be seen as taking on an equal burden, I think, in a lot of parental leave policies.
Absolutely. And you brought on a very crucial topic, which I'm glad you dived right in, into, the paid parental leave. And even now, seeing the times that we're in, it's even more important, right? To make sure that dad had that parental leave, the equal parental leave that allows him to fully present with his family. So I'm glad you brought that up. But I want to touch on, this pandemic and how Lafleur, you at the helm of leadership, responded to this pandemic, ensuring that working families in your company get the support that they needed. Can you walk us through what that looked like? I know your co-founder is also a mom of two. So maybe through some of that experience, because we do have a lot of employers, diversity and inclusion architects that are in the audience today. And, so many of them are trying to reimagine what's possible. So if you can walk us through some of those key steps that you took as a leader during this uncharted times.
I think one of the most important things actually as a leader is the cultural shift that you set. And so I think, of course, the policies are important. I know there are certain large corporations who have offered things like a 2-month leave of absence for parents who want to take this time to just focus on raising their kids, which is totally I think that is an incredible policy. We as a company, I think, have really way more focused on the cultural aspect of it. And what I mean by that is we have employees, and we live on Zoom, as I'm sure a lot of the moms out there do too. And I think one of the things that I just consciously made a decision of is, like, when kids come into the Zoom conversation, we got to welcome them.
Absolutely.
We're not going to pretend like the baby's not there. I had one team member who has an infant, and I want to say a 4 or 5-year-old girl, and her husband actually had COVID, and so he had to leave the apartment for 2 weeks. So she was taking care of her baby and her toddler by herself, while also working at MM. And her expertise was really one of a kind and so unique. And so it wasn't going to be possible for us to get her knowledge from another member of the team. And so really all I wanted was her brain. I didn't need so much, her kind of time. It was when we had important questions that we needed to ask, she was the one I really turned to for her expertise. And so she would be on these phone calls with, while she was feeding her baby, or her baby was just kind of bouncing on her lap. And that was totally fine by me. And I think just one of the things I really wanted to show the rest of the team was it's more than okay to have your baby attend the Zoom call, for your kids to attend the Zoom call. We've got kids running in and out of every conference call that we do. And I think you have to embrace that as CEO. I know just from talking to some of my girlfriends that there are some companies where, once, the clock strikes 9, your time is the company's. And the idea of just having your kid on your lap is kind of unfathomable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that kind of culture actually makes it so difficult. It puts just so much pressure on the parent to say, I need to figure out a system. This is clearly not working. When in fact, I think what employers should be saying is, this is the reality of the situation. Right now, a lot of people are playing 3 roles, being parent, being caretaker, and also being employee. And so I think the expectation is you really should be, if you're trying to get a third of their time, then that's a win. And just let's just make sure that we can create an environment where that is possible.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you know this, but I actually also work full-time. So I'm a full-time chemical engineer. And, one of the things that we've been doing is just working on critical tasks only.
Yeah. Yes.
If it's something that is administrative, or, it's just updating a spreadsheet just for, some future purposes, right?
Yes.
Is there any way we can extend, the due date for those kind of things? So we've had to do a lot of, soul searching in terms of what are the things that are important right now to move the bottom line of the company and the profit objective of the company, and what are the things that we can save for later. So can you walk us through some of the things that you guys are tactically doing within MM Lafleur to ensure that your parents, working families, and your employees are not burning out? Because like you've said, we're crisis schooling, we are cleaners, we are entertainers, sport referee.
So many roles to play.
At the same time, literally, my husband is upstairs, locked up with my 3 kids, because I said, look, there can be no noise, guys. We are recording.
My husband the same thing with our 85-pound dog, who I swear if he wasn't holding him in the other room, would be just pouncing on the sofa in the background.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. I think one thing that we did was we had, I'm just thinking about around the executive team. The executive team kind of said, we have an amazing project manager, and they said, what are the hours that you're actually free? Because a lot of my executive team, they're women, actually. I think so. Out of 8 people, 6 are women, of which 5 are parents with young kids. And actually the 2 guys on my team are also parents. And so one of the things that we initially just said is what are the blocks of hours that you cannot be online? And we really try to work around that. And so we know, now our executive times, our meeting times are set for a particular hour in the day, where we know everyone can make it. And otherwise, people are blocking off their calendars left and right, because that's really the only way you can get through the day. And so that was, I think, one of the first most important things that we've done. I think the second actually important thing that we've done is that we decided to not open the office until Labor Day. So we just made that call maybe about 3 weeks ago now, because a lot of people were trying to plan, if the office starts to open in June or July and my kids can't go to camp or my daycare facilities aren't open, what am I supposed to do? And I think part of us being able to look into the future and address that was saying, look, we're not going to expect anyone to be back in the office before Labor Day. And actually, there's a possibility, especially because New York has been hit so hard, that we may not ask people to come back before 2021. And I think just giving that advance notice allows parents to plan better. And so, those are small things that don't necessarily cost the company money, right? That you can do. I think with smaller businesses like mine, I would love to be able to tell my employees, take 2 months off, we don't need you. We'll find a way to manage without you. But I think for small businesses, often that's not the case, because you have one person managing that entire part of the business. And so really my goal is to just retain these people and the amazing brains and talents that they bring, and create as much flexibility as they possibly need on the other end, by saying, we don't need you to be on at a certain time. We just need you to pipe in when you can. Yeah.
So I want to put one last question. What advice do you have for parents that are struggling with, whether it's their employer or a manager that doesn't understand everything that you just spelled out? What is as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, how can they approach you to say, this is what I need right now to thrive?
Oh gosh. First of all, an employer who is not sympathetic in this situation, I hate to say it, but it should really make you question whether you should be there in the long term. I'm not advising anyone to leave their business, their company right now. It's a really, really hard labor market out there. So that's not what I'm saying. But I think, often there is this, we have so much pressure, I think, as individuals, especially as women, to conform to the company culture, when really you might want to be saying, if they don't understand how hard this is in this particular situation, is it even worth my being here in the long run? How can I really be successful at this company in the long run? So I would just say that. I think the second thing is you can actually, I think people a boss actually told me this once, because I had the tendency, I think, to be like almost too available. I was a pleaser. I wanted to please my boss. And so I was kind of saying, I am around 24/7 to work whenever. And, one of the tips I got is people respect people who set boundaries. And so I think you might be surprised if you're like me, who's, just naturally wanting to please all the time. You might be surprised by saying, like, hey, I really want to make this work. I am here for you. I am a team player. That said, going through a very difficult time, as many of us are, here are the hours that I can make work, or here are the hours that I'm available. And if I can't answer, I will always promise to answer within 24 hours. And I think just setting expectations, I know this is said often, but not practiced enough. And I think in real life, will go a long way, because I think, speaking as a boss, I think sometimes the kind of friction arises when it's not clear when something is going to happen. And clarity, I think, just goes such a long way in managing, in trust, in building trust. And so I don't mean to speak in platitudes, but what I mean is, write that email, put some bullet points, in what it is that you actually can agree to, and also be explicit about what you can't do. And then I think that's like step one in just, getting your boss to understand what your capabilities at this point in time are.
Oh, I love that. I love that you said, put it in email, bullet points, bold if you need to.
Exactly.
I think, there's nothing like over communication.
Totally. People respect people who set boundaries. I had to learn that the hard way, but 'tis true.
Absolutely. Communicate, set boundaries, do what you need to do to protect your sanity.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the company can only thrive when you are thriving. So really appreciate you coming on, Sarah, today. I am so excited for you. I almost, in my mind, I'm like, she's having triplets.
That's right. I know. I will be turning to your podcast frequently for advice. So I appreciate all that.
To bring you on, especially when the babies are here, so you can tell us what it looks like being a powered CEO and having triplets at the same time.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and join us to catch the rest of of today's program. We actually have one where we're going to be talking about growing your family, so fertility and pregnancy during crisis.
Yeah,
so definitely want to tune into that. But thank you so much, Sarah.